Good evening and welcome. Welcome to my live stream. I'm Bob Pace, your host. Here we are to fight CPS. The goal of the show is to be informative, to um, now fighting CPS. First of all, it stands for what I call the Child Protection System. A lot of times it's called Child Protection Services, Department of Children and Family Services, Department of Children and Families. It has many names, but it all boils down to the same thing. It's a government agency that social services was mandated by Congress in the 1960s to protect our children from neglect and abuse. To protect our children from neglect and abuse. Now, what is neglect? Neglect is not feeding the child, clothing child, taking them to get their doctor visits. It's, have not the proper clothing, the proper home, and so forth. Another area is physical abuse. Now, physical abuse can be divided into mental and physical. And with that being said, excessive corporate punishment, like hard time spanking or using a stick, something like that, that's wrong. That's not an effective way of disciplining a child. It's very hard. Now, I've been doing this now for over 2 years and 4 months. That's 28 months I've been coming on to the show. And I did have a break that just recently returned. I was off for the latter part of December, January, and February. And I came back last night. Now, my show times are easy to see. I'm on 3 times a day, 7 days a week. I'm on at 8 a.m. in the morning, then again at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and then the evening at 6 p.m. Those times are given in the Pacific Standard Time. That's the time zone I'm in. If you're on the East Coast, you're 3 hours ahead of me. If you're in England, you're 8 hours ahead of me. Europe and Africa, you're 9 hours ahead of me. And you hear me mention Africa. I have a very sweet lady in South Africa that calls in about her child and what she's been going through. I've had several people from South Africa. I've had several people from England, Scotland, Wales. And then I've also heard from them from other countries like Indonesia and India and other countries in Africa and South America too. But the people that have called in, they do have a problem and they do need help. Now, dealing with CPS can be really hard at times. Now, if you want to text me a comment, please do so. I'd love to hear from you. You just type in and it will show in my window. Just make sure you give me your name and your location. And if you're outside of the United States, please give your country. Now, fighting CPS is hard, but you can do it. One of the first things you need is you need an attorney. And that's where I introduce you to Vincent W. Davis. He's the attorney I work for, and he's the one that has over 30 years of fighting CPS. And he will talk to you. He will talk to you. Now, the phone number is right to the bottom of the screen, 888 888 and 6582. That is the law offices. And when you call in, make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And when you talk to Mr. Davis, make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. Now, Vincent just finished up with a case in Santa Maria. I had a gentleman named David Halago who'd been in my room for a long time and wanted to help to fight a case because he was wrongfully accused. He's a single father. He was taking care of his two children, and the child they were accusing him of inappropriate behavior with her child. She said that was never the case. The daughter did. But sometimes family members will do things to make minds wander. And that's what the sad part about it is. Made things wonder. Now I have a total of 8 rooms connected here to this room. This is a YouTube that I use. I use StreamYard, the software for broadcasting. Now, if you want to call into this live stream, all you do is you just dial 626-698. You call into the phone number at the office, 888-888-6582. Ask for extension 404. And you can talk as much as you like. I'd love to hear from you and I'd love to help you too. Now, CPS can be a traumatic experience. They're very corrupt. They lie, they embezzle funds, they cheat, and they do not necessarily return your child. There's also bad foster parents, and these foster parents are used exclusively by CPS. But these foster parents are struggling. And anyway, you're going to come across foster parents that abuse your children, continue to abuse your children. That's why it's so important not to give up your child. You need to get an attorney. That's one of my first rules. You need to find an attorney. That's the most important rule. You have to find an attorney that is schooled in family law and juvenile law. Those are the 2 areas you'll be working in. Now, the important thing about getting an attorney is they're the only ones that can really know how to defend you and work within CPS. And my attorney worked for Vincent W. Davis is very active with his clients, very engaged, gives a lot of free time. But what I'm talking about is this live stream show right now. And we have this person that's on the phone claim die, period. Now, this attorney should be schooled in 2 areas of the law, family law and juvenile law. He should also have fought CPS and won cases against them. An added bonus is if he's done a civil lawsuit where you won money monetarily for doing something wrong against CPS. Yes, you can sue when your case is over, and a lot of people choose to do so. I could have done it with mine case, but I didn't have the necessary funds to do so. Now that number 888 will get you to the law offices. Make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. Now Vincent primarily works out of LA County. His retainer is $5,000. His hourly rate is $550. But that is not written in stone. There's the complexity of the case, how long the case been going on, and where the case is located to determine the retainer. That way you need to talk to him. But it gives you something as a starting point. You need to get 3 quotes from 3 attorneys. And once you've narrowed it down to 3, you look at the website. Then you make your call and very these 2 questions. Are you trained in family law and juvenile law? Have you won cases against CPS and gotten the children back? If the answer is yes, your second question will be, have you ever sued CPS and won cases? The answer is yes, then you got a double whammy. You're really lucked out there. These lawsuits can happen at the least opportunity of time. Now, once you determine an attorney, you're going to meet with them and see if the chemistry is right. That's so important to line up that attorney because it's going to depend on your case. I wish I had an attorney lined up. I didn't know till after a year had gone by, and I had to get Vincent late in the game, and I suffered because of it because I think I lost my daughter. It's really sad how they make up stories and they lie and embezzle funds. It's all about greed, not about being fair. Now, besides acquiring an attorney, you need to start a book, a notebook about 6 inches thick, and put all your documents in there. Acquire a tab, assorted tabs, so that way you clearly turn something. One tab may be the court's paperwork. Another tab may be the social worker's paperwork. But you're going to have all kinds of things, and so you want to gear it so it'd be useful because you won't remember 6 months, 9 months. This is going to be a minimum 9 months. Every serves at least 9 months. Now, I got out of it by showing there's nothing wrong with the allegation. It did. In fact, they were locked back up. So, let me see here. So this notebook, one of the important documents is called the incident time log. This incident time log can be done on notebook paper, and you devote 3 lines to each incident. Your first line will have the date and the time. And if you contact them by phone, it'd be the phone number. Or if you contact them in person, it'd be their address. Then after that, you should establish the names that were involved. Who was all involved in the incident? And if you have more than one person, you should try to get two people to help you out. Now, this notebook is yours, and you got to make it. It's 6 inches thick, and should be a useful tool you have. Now, this incident log that I told you about, the second line should be what the incident was about, a short one-sentence summary. The third line should be the outcome. And if you don't know it, then say case is open, and that way remind you to keep checking. To keep checking. Another form that you should create is called a journal. You should get a journal to write in, and you should write addressing to your children because you don't know how long you're going to stay or what's going to happen next. And the journal will be something nice that the kids remember, especially if something happens to you. You all should be making a journal if you're estranged from your kids. It should be a primary thing. I have a lot of life skills that I'll share with you from time to time. And you're probably wondering about my background. I'm a 7 man that's worked over 61 years. I'm retired, but still looking for a good, steady job. As you get older, it gets harder to work. I know that. But I care very much about you people and making sure you get that special attorney. So I strongly advise you to call in and ask for Mr. Davis. Because CPS is very corrupt. They don't clearly represent everything that happens. Now you have the journal, instant log, also other forms you can put in your notebook will be your class, your parenting class forms, and your program, whether it's uh, your drug program or your alcohol program or your domestic violence program. Some of them take more than a year to complete, but put the certificates in there once you complete them. Once you complete them. Now, another thing that you got to be careful about is my rule number 3. Now, rule 1 was get an attorney. Rule 2 was start a notebook with instant log and a journal. Rule 3 is don't let them in your home. Remember, your home is your castle. The door is closed, your drawbridge is up. They're not allowed to come in your home without your permission. They need a court order to enter. They can get a court order, but it's got to be very prescribed on it. A lot of times they use old court orders. It should have the date during a regular weekday that's not a holiday, no weekends, of course. But I want you all to have that number 626. That's my number to call me, 626-698-0990. That's the direct line here to this live stream. Now, the thing is, when they come a knocking, you should be very quiet. Don't let them in and don't talk to them. Because whatever you do or say will come back to haunt you. They're tricksters. They said they're liars. And they use deceitful practices to get children rounded up so they can collect more money. They base their livelihood on the money that they make here. Now, if they do have a warrant and you looked it over and it looks legit, don't give anything more that's written on it. If it says they're allowed in, you allow them in. But I would impress upon the fact you need to inform them that you need to have representation. It's your constitutional right to have a lawyer represent you in all legal proceedings. So you need to find out if this is a legal proceeding or not. That's really important there. Because you can ask for a continuation or another meeting when your attorney is present. Don't use the home for meeting in there. Meet at a public place that you can take photos and stuff, such as McDonald's or Starbucks or the library. Don't let them come to your home. Now, another violation you'll see is child trafficking in hospitals. At urgent care and at the emergency room, there are social workers that prey on you and try to take your children away. If a woman is pregnant, she tests positive for drugs, they're going to try to take her away that day. That woman should be able to bond with her baby, and then she should go some type of a treatment there or work on that. But she should not lose a parent. You see, the best parents are the biological parents. Time and time again, it's shown that the biological parents are the best parents to take care of your child. Hello, CJ Dunbar. I have not heard from you in a while. I remember CJ Dunbar. He's one of my regular visits. How you been, CJ? And what's the latest about your CPS case? What's the latest? And I forgot where you are, CJ Dunbar. Can you tell me where you're from? Yeah, it's important to note the time and the date. I agree. That's in your incident log. Now remember, my times on here are 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm on 3 times a day, 7 days a week. That's a total of 21 live streams that I do. Yeah, sometimes it may sound repetitious. You always have to address there may be new people that don't know the things you may know or learn from me. And I see it's important to note the time and the date too. Yes, I agree. It's very important to do so. Okay, Dunbar says, when she was a baby, I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I moved to New York. Hello, Felicia, Cruella, Renee. It's good to see you, Felicia. Felicia is from Oxnard, California. She has a child protection case in Ventura County courts with the CPS, and she has several legal matters in Oxnard. I think one was trespass, and another was sleeping in the car. What's the latest with your cases? And thank you for saying you welcome me back. But what's the latest with your cases? Okay. We're about at the halfway mark. We have about 30 minutes left to go. I've been talking about this notebook, and I've also been talking about CPS or the police coming by and what you can do and not do. Now, you can always ask for a continuation when you get your attorney present. Hello, Lenny Wilcox. Keeping a journal addressed to my kids since 2017. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We have Lindy Wilcox. I don't know where you're from. If you could tell me your city and state, be great. We have Corella Felicia from Oxnard, California, in Ventura County. And then we have CJ Dunbar from Pennsylvania, Scranton, Pennsylvania. And he's moved to New York. And then we had earlier Lenny Wilcox. It's important to note the date and time, but I don't know where he's from. But thank you for asking. I'm okay. But I'm glad you're keeping a journal there, Lenny. That's a good idea. Now I was just talking about rule number 3, and I was talking about child trafficking. A parent is in the emergency room and at hospitals in urgent care. You got to be careful they don't take away your children. Just because you're at the hospital getting treatment doesn't give you rights to take away the children. As I say, the best parents are the biological parents. They're the best parents to raise a child. No question about that. Now, that last rule is a rule where now rule number 4 is important because you want to research the internet about CPS, all that you do. You just put your city and state. If you're from another country, put your city and country, then put the letters CPS. And a lot of things are going to pop out. If you want to be more descriptive, use slash lines and then type in what you're trying to get to. And Chat GPT works very well with that. Somehow I keep getting dropped out of my room. I don't know why, but it is there. So that rule number 4 is the internet, and you need to use Chat GPT or Google Chrome. They're wonderful search engines. You just word it, city, state, or city, country, the letters CPS. If you want to refine the search, draw a dash line and put down what you're trying to find. So you just have to be careful. And if you research the internet, you'll find out so much about your adversary. My social worker was terrible. She didn't have a college degree. She had no training in social work. No additional training in CPS work. Just now, some of these programs are difficult, and I'm going to relate my story to you all when it happened to me. I first started getting attacked by CPS in 2010, recently after I lost my job. I did not know that my wife's mom, dad, three sisters, and her brother were calling in on us family. They're making up lies like we didn't have the utilities turned on. When CPS came out, I showed them the box. I showed all the utilities turned on, and I showed all the recent utility bills being paid. So that was not a problem. That was just something they were trying to ruffle feathers. This particular um, family. It blindsided me, blindsided my wife. She could not believe her mom and dad would do that to them. But they're definitely interested in our children. We had three beautiful children. We have a total of six. I've been married twice. It goes on roughly now for 33 years of being married to the same woman and having, beautiful children, lots of beautiful children. Now, Dunbar said they took his daughter from the hospital when she was a baby in 2015. What had happened, her daughter tested positive for drugs. And so right away they take a child. They're not supposed to do that. They need to have a warrant to do that. But a lot of people don't know that. They're scared of government. Now we do have an agency called DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, that is investigating all the CPSs out there. Now, this has been a recent expansion or a recent investigation, but it was disproved. Like all the other times they come out, they try to do that. So anyway, I had social workers come to my house by reports from lay people, my family, my in-laws, and my uncles and aunts and so forth. I was able to stall them off. Then in 2015, which is roughly 5 years later, they decided to get the police involved. And so the police forced me to come home. They followed me from school that I was picking up my son, and they pulled me over with a false traffic violation. And I'm really sorry, CJ, that you took your daughter. But when they came to my house, I regret that eventful day. They had pulled me over with alleged traffic violation. If I knew the law, I would tell them, give me the ticket and be off with you. Instead, I opened up a can of worms. I thought I could trust them, so I let them take me home. I was very open with my thing. I had nothing to hide because I haven't done anything wrong. I had my parents' belongings because they passed away. I did not have the mechanism to put all the stuff in storage because I didn't have the funding. I was lost a job, as I say, it's a domino effect in 2010. Now I was able to pick up some jobs over the years, but um, I got to read Lenny here because he said a really long, lengthy thing. Lenny says he's from Florida. My kids were kidnapped by CPS in 2017. My rights were terminated based on allegations of a risk of harm. They cut off all contact between me and my children. I did nothing wrong. I hear you. Did you think about getting an attorney? Did you think about getting an attorney? Did you think about getting an attorney? And his case was at county in Florida. I believe he did nothing wrong. But what is the status of the case, Lenny? Is it still current? You're still fighting him, or what's the latest on your case, Lenny? Yeah, my screen is constantly flashing on and off. Now, when they came into my house to open the door, that was a mistake that I made. That was mistake number two. The first was even following them. I should have told them, write me a ticket, arrest me, or let me go, because I was going to get my wife. I had picked up her son at his school and was driving downtown to pick up my wife. But I was there, and they were there for several hours, and they're making a big deal about the belongings of my parents being stored there. I'd use the bedroom, I used the living room for sorting and shipping the materials to family and friends after my parents had died. So it took time to do so. I didn't have the necessary funds to put in storage, but I did my best that I could. But they said the way the boxes are stacked or furniture stacked, you could injure the children. Well, the children stayed away from the living room anyway. But CPS is crafty. They look for anything. They use the police as intimidators. You cannot trust the layperson. They only get it right. You know, they get it wrong by 25%. Excuse me, by 75%. They're only 25% right. A layperson are 50% right, they get it 50% wrong. So you gotta be careful of them. You gotta be careful of them. So they went through my house. They damaged the house. They used their boots and tromped the dirt on the stairs. They step on the furniture, breaking a rattan stool, looking out the window, looking at the yard. They're like looky-loos. And it should be a CPS. And I didn't know that there was no warrant. It was false allegations. So my case went on for 3 years, summer 2015 to December 2017. Now, I did get an attorney, Vincent Davis, after a year. I wish I got him sooner. The things I know now, I wish I could have found out. My five rules. Um, okay, Dunbar says her daughter's mom was on Megan's law, didn't know about it. But they constantly lie and cheat. And like one of the things are, we're doing a trial. and Vincent Davis was leading it on. They wanted to have my daughter, our daughter, go live with their mother's sister and husband. That was bad news. But Vincent Davis is really excellent. He was able to catch the social worker, and she committed perjury on the witness stand or on the stand. And he's really good at what he does. For instance, there's a question about the integrity of the parents had they had domestic violence. Well, he had done his homework and found numerous cases of my sister and her husband having domestic violence, meaning they're both thrashing each other. So that resolved that situation. But you gotta be careful. My two boys got back, but I lost my daughter at 12. She was adopted, and I didn't know that they could do that. At age 12, a child can ask to be removed or do anything they want. I don't like that idea. I think all children, because parents are the rightful owners of children, and they are imperative that they see. Um, anyway, our daughter changed. Well, he was caught with a lie, and what happened is the social worker committed perjury because he had some paperwork. He pulled open a folder. He had asked earlier, how good are the parents? And the social worker lied, said they're great parents. Then he pulled out a folder. In the folder, he had reports, police reports of domestic violence where they were hitting each other. He read report after report and asked the social worker, you said there was no domestic violence. Here are lots of cases of domestic violence. And they are bad parents. So we won our case, but the social worker took revenge. And she coached and coerced her daughter to adopt, to leave their parents and be adopted and change her birth certificate. She got a new birth certificate. And she was double dipping with funds from social services. So that was hard to swallow. That was hard to swallow. And it's sad because they are corrupt. They are corrupt. Now, social services are have been around forever. There's cases reported in the 1600, 1800, and of course the 19th and 21st centuries. Congress didn't pass a law until 1960s that there should be a group that protects the children from neglect and abuse, a watchdog for them. But the laws were not made to 1974. So there was no enforceable laws in the 1960s. Well, at that time in 79 was the Indian Child Welfare Act. It's called ICWA. And what that means is that Indian children don't have to go with the social workers. They can actually go with their tribe and let their tribe take care of them. So that was a blessing in disguise. That was a blessing in disguise. Hi, Erin. How you doing? Erin's from Tennessee. Her partner is Michael. Welcome, Erin and Michael. There's Andrea Fasescas, and she's from Kankakee. What state is that, Andrea? What state is that? What state's that, Andrea? I'm glad to have you both. And Erin's been a long time part of this room. Do you have a question for me, Erin? Do you have a latest update? That'd be really, really, really great. We have about 15 minutes left of this live stream. Now I'm on at 8 a.m. in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. Again at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, Pacific Standard Time. And again at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Those are all the West Coast times. So it's 8, 1, and 6. Now, if you want my number again, you can call this number during my show to speak to me on the show. It's 626. You can call the office number of 888-888-6582, and you can get me by asking the code extension is 404. Yes, you spoke. And then I can get you there. Now, when they took away our daughter, they really hurt. It was really a deep knife wound. She now is 23. We've not seen her since she's age 12. Both her mom and I have been denied access to her. We keep in touch with her other children, our oldest boy, Rick, and then we have two daughters that are in their 30s that we keep track of. CPS is definitely not fair, and it's a lot of trauma and exposure you go through. And I know it's really, really hard on you. Mm. Mm. So I'm still in touch with my sons who left the family at age 20 and the other one at 25. They have an apartment together, and my uh, third child, my son, got married. And so they're starting a family of their own. And so my son has a roommate. And so my son and that roommate, my um, um, it is hard. Sometimes emotionally it distraughts me because my daughter should never have been stolen from me. CPS is liars. In fact, they've embezzled funds in Richmond, Kentucky to the tune of $600,000. $1 million was gone unaccounted for. They found the embezzler, a social worker, that had stolen $6,000. So it's very careful who you talk to and who you touch and so forth. Now we have about 11 more minutes left of the show. So I want to wind down. I've talked to you about my 5 rules about how to get an attorney, the notebook, how not to let them in your home, use of the internet, and I've given you access to get my attorney. Just make sure you mention my name. Also, when you call the office, they have a website, vincentwdavis.com. They'll show you all kinds of information. Don't wait to hire an attorney. Please hire one. Um, I do hear from some of my other family members via my sons. Two of them still keep in touch with the rest of the family. Um, with all this being said, is that it is a hard thing to go through. It's a traumatic experience on me. Now, we have someone here just said a comment, Aaron. Aaron and Michael from Tennessee said, Department of Children's Services tried to tell me that I couldn't have a copy of the original petition. I responded with under Tennessee law and parental due process that I'm allowed the copy. She ended up sending it. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Aaron. I'm so glad to hear that. That is great news. Aaron did something really, really, really great. If you're persistent and you still pursue them, you can talk to them. You need to be persistent. You need to know the laws and you need to know how CPS works. And they certainly are not very fair. I'm so glad to hear that, Aaron. I'm so glad you shared that with me. You know, having a child ripped out of your arms, I'm still hurting from it. 2015 now is over 11 years ago when they first started taking my children. So the wounds are still hurting. But whatever you do, make sure you get yourself an attorney. It took me a long time to realize that, but once I did, I sacrificed everything. You know, there is insurances on legal insurance. You just need to shop around. They have legal insurance for DUI and for child protection services and other crimes. You just got to find the right one. You got to find the right one. Erin says her son's birthday is 4th this week. He'll be 2 years old. Wow. Time is flying. I know that you miss your son very much. Will you be able to see your son? Do you have a visitation still scheduled with your son, Aaron? Aaron from Tennessee? Aaron or Michael? I don't know if you're around tonight or not. Does anyone else have any other questions? We have a good number of people in here. I want to help you. The way I help is you ask me a question, I can answer. No question is too hard to answer, and I'll be able to find out the answer to your question. The answer to your question. Now, there have been successful stories, but you got to be careful of medical trafficking. I had a case where a woman and a man came on and told them that their child was forced to do an unnecessary operation by a social worker. They're not doctors, but they're claiming what they did. The parents had tested uh, with they used an MRI to see what the stomach pain the child was expressing. The child did not have appendix, but they thought she did. So they said you need to have the child's appendix removed. And we stepped in and tried to avoid that, but that was wrong, allowing that to happen. Anyway, they came into my room, told the story. I told them what they need to do. They got an attorney, and they got their child back, but not till after damages was done. But they have filed a civil lawsuit against the attorney and the courthouse, and we'll hopefully hear how that is going. All right, welcome, um, AB6. I guess I should call you AB6. You guys come with the hardest names to I think. And what is your case, AB6, and where are you located? Where are you located? And where is Kansas Key? I don't know if that is in Wisconsin. That's from Andrea. And CJ Dunbar is in Pennsylvania. And Lenny Wilcox, who's a new person, is from Florida. Her kids were kidnapped in 2017. Now, Felicia, that you listen to me, I still don't know about your situations. You need to come on the show and talk to me. I worry about you, Felicia. And I know Christina Reynosa worries about you. Christina Reynosa is from Las Vegas. Very sweet, dear woman that has helped out so many, including myself, with a docket, with a lawsuit. She's orchestrated so well. So well. Okay, we have AB6 is from Athens, Ohio. I know where that is. And I'm so glad that you're here. Aaron and Michael's from Tennessee. And they've been here lots of times and so forth. But every one of you is like family, so I hope you come back and ask more questions. I can see if I can help you. There's a lot of people in this room that may not be showing, but I know there's more than 4 listening to this live stream. Now I'm getting ready to close down. I'm going to wrap things up. I don't want you to forget the rules that I told you you have to be careful about. Also, be careful not let them in the front door. Don't allow social workers to be around you unless you have an attorney present, because they're going to ask the question, you're going to give the wrong answer. They're not your friend. They're very corrupt. So you got to be heads up about Australians. But anyway, I want you all to have a lovely night. I'll be again on tomorrow. Don't forget, I'm on tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There'll be a brief video that you can follow along and watch. It's a good video, and it will mean something. So I want to thank all my listeners in here. I want to thank Lenny Wilcox from Florida. I want to thank Andrea Classic from Kawasaki. I don't know what country or state that's in. I want to thank Aaron and Michael from Tennessee and CJ Dunbar for being in here. Lenny Wilcox from Florida, CJ Dunbar from Pennsylvania. Who else? I'm trying to think if I left anybody else out. I think I've pretty much mentioned you all. Anyway, I want you all to have a good night. Listen to the video. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Good night. Well, the video hasn't started. I wonder why.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce him. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the
last ones left. Put your faith in this. We are the last ones left to save the kids. And if our bond means we fall, we'll take the risk. We are the last ones left. It's up to us. We are the
a vivid picture.